Hi everyone, it's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s month because we celebrate January 15th, Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. And we also celebrate civil rights movement in this month. So I'm going to read you this book. It's about this brave woman who was a slave before, who lived in the 19th century. And let's hear her story. Her name is called Harriet Tubman, freedom fighter. Harriet Tubman, freedom fighter. Let's see her story. Let's take a look at her story. Harriet Tubman was no ordinary hero. As a woman and a slave, she had no rights and was not taught how to read or write. She also had a disability. None of that stopped her from leading many people to freedom. Let's see, how did she do that? Harriet Tubman was born enslaved in 1822 in Maryland. Everyone in her family was enslaved. As a slave, Harriet could be sold like an animal or a house by a white slave master. Slaves had absolutely no rights at all. They were like commodities. They were just being sold like an animal or like a house to anyone, and then their family members are separated. Slaves had to work for no pay. Many slaves lived and worked on small farms and plantations. They were treated badly. When you have no rights, you will be treated badly for sure. That is why we have to always fight for our rights. We know her as Harriet Tubman, but when she was born, her name was Araminta Minty Rose. Araminta Minty Rose. When Minty was a girl in the 1800, that means it's 19th century, slavery was no longer allowed in the northern states in America, but Maryland was a southern state. When Minty was 3, her sister, Maria Ritty, was sold. And soon after that, Minty's sister, Lena, was sold too. They were taken away from the family. If you are a slave, you have no basic rights, so you can be sold to anyone at any time, and you don't stay with your family because your family members are sold to different places. So her sister was sold, her brother was sold, all to different places. That's why they were separated as a family. Soon after, Minty was loaned out to work at other plantations. It's like a commodity, right? Like a thing that you can loan it, to use her. Once she had to rock a baby all night so it wouldn't cry. So she didn't get to sleep at all in the night because her job is to rock the baby for a whole night. If the baby cried, Minty was whipped. If the baby cried, so the master of Minty, the slave, will whip her. So another time, Minty had to take masked rats out of a trap while wading in an icy marsh. Even though she was sick, Minty knew that slavery was wrong. As she grew older, she started to think about escape. Even when she was sick, she had to do something in the very icy water. And obviously, she's not dressed up for cold water and cold weather. And she just bear through it. Can you imagine that? How much damage that will cause to her body, to her health. One day, Minty went to the store. A slave master threw a heavy weight at the slave who was trying to flee. Instead, Minty was hit on the head. She fainted and bled a lot. She got really hurt. She got badly hurt. Minty woke up weeks later. But this injury caused a disability. Minty had seizures and headaches for the rest of her life. She never really recovered from this injury. Minty started having vivid dreams in which God gave her guidance. When Minty was a young adult, her slave master died. The slaves on his farm knew that they might be sold far away. For Minty, this meant that her family that she loved so much might be separated and never see each other again. Harriet Tubman, as she then called herself, and 2 of her brothers tried to escape but turned back because the punishment would be huge. So the slave master died, and then they decided to escape because they could be sold to faraway place, and then she would never see her family anymore. So they tried to escape. They tried to run away. Harriet decided to escape again. Although they were turned back, Harriet decided to escape again. Alone and with no map, she prayed that God would lead her. She's so brave. Harriet traveled north through the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad didn't have trains. It was not a train railroad. It was just called Underground Railroad. It was a group of people, both black and white, who helped freedom seekers escape. This Underground Railroad system is made by a group of people. Both black and white people were in this group of people. They were trying to help the slave escape from the southern states. Sometimes the help was a safe place to hide. If you could find a place to hide, you could continue on your route for freedom. Hiding places were called stations. The helpers were called conductors. They have their own code. When Harriet got to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, she was free. For months, she worked in the city. She missed her family. Her family still stayed in the southern states who were slaves. So now she missed her family because she now is in Pennsylvania, who is a free state. So she saved all her money and used it to go back south to help free her family. The trip south was dangerous. If found by slave catchers, slaves were returned to slavery, hurt or killed. Despite the enormous danger, Harriet kept going back. So they were slave catchers whose job was solely just to catch slaves who tried to run away, who tried to escape. If you got caught by slave catchers, you'll be returned to slavery, or you'll be hurt or be killed. That's immense danger. But then it didn't stop Harriet going back to the south to save her family. She really tried to help her family escape slavery. When the Fugitive Slave Act was passed in 1850, Philadelphia became too unsafe for Harriet and her family. So they went all the way to St. Catharines in Canada to leave. But Harriet still returned to the United States to free more slaves. She moved by foot, boat, train, and wagon. She often wore disguises. She never was caught. She moved to Canada to have free life because there was a Fugitive Slave Act passed in Philadelphia. But she kept coming back to the United States to try to free more slaves. And she was really good at hiding and disguise, so she was never caught. In 1861, the Civil War began between the North and the South. The North formed the Union Army, and then the South formed the Confederate Army. The Union Army fought to keep the United States from breaking apart. This is the Union Army, and that's a Confederate Army. That's Confederate flag. Wanting to help end slavery, Harriet signed up black men to be soldiers in the Union Army. Harriet signed up as black men to be soldiers in the Union Army. She worked as a cook, a nurse, and a spy. Harriet freed slaves as the army moved. She even led a battle. Wow, such a brave lady. She worked as cook, nurse, and spy in the army, in the Union Army, and then she also led a battle. She's really smart and brave. When the war ended in 1865, slavery ended. Harriet believed in freedom for all until the day she died. She said, "I should fight for my liberty so long as my strength lasted." This is Harriet Tubman. The end. I hope you enjoyed this book. It's about this very, very brave freedom fighter, Harriet Tubman. Not only she herself escaped slavery from the southern states, Maryland, she also tried her best to free a lot of slaves from the southern states. And then she also joined the army and helped lead some battles. And she believed in liberty until the last breath. So I hope you enjoyed the book. Thank you. Bye.